Why, hello! Welcome to the show. It is Sunday, July 26, 2020. And we're back for another exciting show. Whoa. The heck? Okay, that's different. Yeah. So apparently something's broken here. Where are my graphics? That was weird. So, there's supposed to be a double box with a graphic. Or is it, well, the video file, right? Let's see here. There's that. The overlay. What is missing here? Oh. I know what's going on. Okay. So, we're gonna stay on me for a second while I fix this. Anyway, Zach, how's it going? Oh, do we have Zach?
Hello?
Okay, there he is. There he is. Man, we're just having all sorts of technical difficulties today. So, this has to be in this folder. Okay, so here's what happened. Is we, a long time ago, had a cloud solution set up, using a very awesome program called Nextcloud. Have you ever heard of Nextcloud, Zach?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so Nextcloud is like your very own hosted like version of Dropbox, basically. So our deployment right now is running on, you've heard of DigitalOcean before though, haven't you? Huh?
Yes.
Okay, so what is DigitalOcean?
I've heard of it. I don't know about it.
You've heard about it, but you don't know what it is. So basically, they give you space to spin up virtual machines online, and then you can use those, typically like Linux systems, and then you can use those to basically deploy applications and things like that. So, so that's what we're doing. We have a virtual system set up on a DigitalOcean droplet, is what they call them. And it is running Nextcloud. And then I am able to store files there. Previously, so we were using Nextcloud for a while, and then we switched web hosts. And when we switched web hosts, we switched to a better web host, but they didn't allow us to just store files. It's against their terms of service. So, anyway, sorry, I'm trying to talk and locate files at the same time. Anyway, so what ended up happening is that we switched to a different web host, better web host. Our website stays up now, which is nice. But anyway, I had to figure out what I was going to do with all of our shared files. So what I ended up doing with them was putting them in a Google Drive, basically. And it's funny, Google makes great software online, not desktop software. Their sync client is a piece of garbage. So,
okay. That I've never used it.
Anyway, so yeah, so we redeployed. Let's see, this one is supposed to be the double box. There we go. And the background is in that folder too. Actually, no, it's not. It's in a different folder. Anyway, so yeah, it's a bunch of garbage. It's really difficult to share files back and forth between people. Unless you're like using like G Suite or something like that, which I don't want to spend the money for. And so anyway,
Do a lot of file sharing.
wait, what did you say?
Said we don't exactly do a lot of file sharing.
Not between you and me, between me and Joe we do.
Okay.
So anyway, hey, it's fixed. There we go. Now we're back in the double box. I gotta fix all the other ones now. Anyway, so yeah. Between me and Joe, we actually do share a decent amount of files. He helps with some of the accounting stuff for the very few clients that we do have right now. But anyway, so yeah, so I moved everything to Nextcloud again. And now all of my my directories and stuff are broken in here in, what is it? In an OBS. Because they're pointing to the Google Drive folder that no longer exists. So
Right, I see.
Really long explanation as to what exactly happened there, but yeah. So graphics, these PNGs. This is the triple box. Yeah, that's the triple box. There we go. Okay, so that fixes that. Oh, I never changed that one. Okay. The box lines changed the other day. They turned to a gray instead of a white, because whenever I show like a web page that's got like a white background, you can't tell where the edge is. So that's a thing. I just had to check and make sure your mic was on real quick, and it is. Don't worry, you're good.
Yeah, I'm on. Well, oh, you mean on your end? Okay.
Yeah.
I was about to say I'm here. Yeah, I definitely am.
So okay, I think everything's fixed now. Cool. Yeah. So anyway, so that's what I've been kind of playing around with, which has been cool. And so I was showing Joe the other day how to set up Nextcloud on DigitalOcean, and he was pretty tired, but I don't think he followed along very well. So. How comfortable are you with Linux, Zach?
I can Google my way through it.
You can
very inefficiently.
You can Google your way through it.
Yes.
Okay. What is the elevation command?
SU?
Well, that changes users. Yes, that can be used.
I guess I don't even know what you mean by that.
So anytime you want to perform any elevated command, something that you need like administrative right. Well, I would say administrative rights. Linux has a different word. Linux has yes. Linux has a different word for it. It's a command that you type in, or it's one thing that you type in front of every command that needs to be elevated. That needs elevated permissions.
I said I can Google my way through it. Not I know how to use it.
This one you should know though.
No, I have no idea.
It's the Pseudo Command.
Oh, okay, I do know that.
Yeah, so anytime you want to do anything administratively, you got to use the Pseudo Command. Now, here's the important thing, though, that you have to remember about that, is that sudo doesn't just work right out of the box if you create a new user. You have to add that user to, at least in Fedora, it's the sudo, or in Fedora, it is the wheel group. In Ubuntu, it is the sudo group. And see, that's the other thing. There are subtle differences between each distribution of Linux.
I said I could Google my way through it, not that I was good at it.
I primarily know Fedora, and I am okay-ish at Ubuntu. So some of the commands are a little bit different. The theories are the same there, but yeah, I learned on Fedora, so that's what I'm most familiar with. Ubuntu's a little different, but I can still manage my way through. So it's good to know how to use Linux though if you want to deploy specific like programs sometimes for whatever. So in our case, we're running Nextcloud. So having some basic understanding of how to navigate through the Linux command line is a good thing. So anyway, but because that's all I'm using. I'm using the command line. That's it. Nothing else. Because well, DigitalOcean doesn't give you the option to use like a GUI or something like that. That'd be kind of cool. I think there are probably ways to do that. So I need to look into figuring out how to create some kind of, and maybe I'll just load it up on a machine here or something like that. I need some way. I'd love to host it in the cloud, but like some way to like host a Windows, like, a Windows system that like multiple people can get into so that I can host an application on it. So there might be other ways to do that too. I know we're using, at least at my employer, we're using like Citrix to, although that's tied into a server on the back end, I guess. So, which is weird. Yeah. Anyway, so
I don't think Citrix is what you're looking for, to be honest. It's more of an enterprise kind of thing, don't you think?
Hey, we're an enterprise-ish, sort of, kind of.
Okay, but
not really.
It has an enterprise price tag.
Yup. I truly believe
anybody can be an enterprise who wants to pay the enterprise price tag.
I truly believe in open source software. Let's see here. Solutions, app infrastructure protection, DDoS protection, access management. And see, of course, these companies don't put like their pricing on their sites.
Oh, why would they? They don't want you to puke on your keyboard.
Let's see, traffic management, cloud services, AAS. Let's see. I'm trying to look and see how much this, and I'm not exactly sure how this works. If this company is associated with like the Citrix platform, or how exactly it works, because it's provided by like one server or something like that. I don't exactly know how it works. Unless this service provides it and then they use Citrix as a backbone to get into it, which could be possible. I'm not quite sure. Anyway. So that's the company that provides that service, or at least that's what it says on the page. So, but, and actually I could probably say it, but because you have to be behind the VPN in order to actually get it. Well, I don't think it's even a VPN. I think what it is they restrict what, because our locations have to have a static IP address, and then I think we just get added to a list of allotted IP addresses that are allowed to reach a specific location, basically, I think is how that works. So I don't think there even is really a VPN. I think there might be for like mobile platform stuff. So like the district managers and like the people that move around that need access into our stuff, which would make sense. But anyway, so yeah, on the show today. Oh, I guess anything new with you?
You know the answer.
No. So I heard somebody got drugged to a family function last week.
Yeah.
So, yeah. How was that? I think I know the answer.
I don't know. It was a thing. Whatever.
Oh my goodness. You're so antisocial. Ish.
Oh, come on.
Ish. I guess you hang out with me every week, so...
I just only have a certain... I can only do it for so long, you know, that's all.
Oh man, I have to ask, so assume that we were
Oh boy. I probably don't have an answer.
Well, no. So I guess here's the thing: is would you do something like CES, or would you get burnt out?
I'd do that.
But that's primarily because it revolves around tech, right? Well,
Yeah, I mean, it helps to have an interest in the subject matter.
Well, I just wasn't sure if it was large crowds of people, or if it was just more the subject matter of what was happening. So, or oh, where does this take place? Oh, Seattle, Boston, Philadelphia. Would you ever go to PAX?
Yeah.
I wouldn't, because I'm not a huge gamer. Well, I might. I don't know what I would play though. But anyway. So what is that? That's it's a big giant LAN party basically, and you bring your own system, right?
What? No. That's where game companies show off, stuff they're working on.
What am I thinking?
May or may not be stupid stuff or cool stuff or anything.
Oh, see, I'm not a gamer. This is why I don't know this stuff. I just know the name.
All right.
What am I thinking of?
I don't know. I've never heard of any convention that fits the description of what you said, to be honest.
No, there are conventions where you like.
Oh, well, yeah, I know that such things exist. I don't know any names off the top of my head.
Oh, okay. Well, I know LTX, the guys over at Linus Media Group, Linus Tech Tips, did one last year. I don't remember who they teamed up with, but it was pretty cool. I guess they LTX.com. Oh. Okay. But they brought in some LTX Expo, that's what it is. Which has been canceled for this year.
I don't know why that would happen.
Out of an abundance of caution. I respect the guys over there at Linus Media Group for that. Let's see. Navigating Vancouver, planning a trip around Vancouver. DreamHack is who they teamed up with. And so I guess DreamHack sets up these LAN things in different locations. I don't know if they I guess they host their own holy crap. Yeah, I guess they host their own conventions and things like that, and then maybe I think sometimes they'll collaborate with other people. But anyway, so but you would do something like that, wouldn't you? Like a giant LAN party or something? Or not?
It all depends.
What does it depend on?
Oh goodness, I don't know. It all depends on so many things. Where do I have to travel? How do I have to travel? When? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Oh, I was just I
mean, I guess that goes for every such.
Sure, I'm just saying.
That goes for any convention. Sure.
All the stars aligned and
consider it.
Oh, okay.
Consider anything you'd throw at me.
There you go. Okay, but that's more what I was looking at. It was not a definite, but is this something that would interest you and something that you might actually do?
I do have a certain level of batteries for this kind of stuff. That's just how some people work.
See, that's what I wondered. I wondered if you would get. That's why I asked you about CES. Would you get burnt out, or is it because of the environment that you're just hey, this is fine? And I think anyone at some point is going to get burnt out, but it's with you with family functions, you're just burnt out kind of right away.
My family's not that horrible. Jeez.
You always make it
Like
seem
I just hate them.
You make it seem that way a lot of the times.
Oh, whatever. I don't think I do, but whatever.
It depends on what you're doing. It depends on what you get drugged to, I think.
Dragged?
Well,
drugged would be a very different thing.
It depends on what you get dragged to. Skiing in Colorado? Yeah, sure, you're totally about that.
I hope I'm not getting drugged anywhere, to be honest.
Dragged as... Oh, well, okay, fine. I digress! Anyway, okay, on the show this week... I digress. On the show this week... AMD 4000, Zach, which is apparently not as exciting as I thought it was going to be.
Haven't really been paying attention.
I think it's like AMD 3000, just kind of sort of a little bit better. Ish.
Yeah, so it's a refresh, not a new...
Right,
it's not a whole new...
It's not on Ryzen, or it's not on Zen 3, it's like still on like Zen 2 or something, I think. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that is correct.
Did you hear about this? There's a little company by the name of Nvidia that is looking to purchase another little company, possibly by the name of ARM.
Yay! That's probably not a good idea to let that happen.
Well, we'll look at it. Your Microsoft news. Fox Sports, this is interesting. They are going to be using AI to pump in fake fans for MLB games this year. It actually looks
Why
really...
even bother?
It looks really convincing. For the aesthetic at home and things like that, I think.
Who cares about that?
The fans.
No.
I mean, you're not a big sports guy.
So a baseball fan is not going to want to watch baseball on TV if there's no fans in the stands?
I don't know.
TV?
I think it's just it's a creative decision. It's interesting.
Yes. Maybe I'm making more fun of it than I have any right to, but I don't know.
The technology looks pretty incredible.
Sure, I mean that's cool.
Yeah. And again, you're not a big sports fan. Okay. Well, I guess you could call skiing a sport, couldn't you?
Yeah, but I have no interest in watching other people do it.
Okay, fine. But like in terms of sports, like what would be the one that you could be behind? Obviously, I would have guessed skiing.
I don't really ever watch sports ever.
Well, I'm not saying just necessarily watching sports, but like ones that you are okay with, I guess. I don't know. Have a slight interest in, or an interest in.
You're asking me to say I don't know. I don't have any answers, really.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you ask somebody, like, hey, what sports are you kind of interested in? Like, for myself, I'll watch football. I enjoy baseball. If I'm going to play a sport, it's probably bowling. But you're not really a big sports guy.
No, I really just
right.
don't like to watch sports.
That's what I was getting at. So
it is what it is.
I think that's the difference there. Is that
it's like saying what kind of I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this.
What I'm getting
like
at,
saying where's your favorite place to play football? Well, I don't play football. Okay, but where's your favorite place to play football? Well, I don't play football, like, come on.
Hold on. I need to pause our show for just a moment.
Okay. Well, there you go.
And we're back. Oh, okay. I'll have to edit that portion. But anyway, yeah, getting phone calls. I love answering the phone that way on people who typically. So that was my coworker, and I love answering the phone in the "What did you break?" Which is funny because he was like, "Why do you assume I broke something?" One day, and I was like, "Because typically that's what I get phone calls about." Anyway, no, so back to what I was saying. I think part of this whole Fox News sports, AI, because they're pumping in crowd noises as well. And I think for people watching at home, I think it's the aesthetics, it's it makes it more engaging. I think, and I think that you not being necessarily as big of a sports fan, I think maybe is why maybe you don't see that.
I'm not stupid. I understand why they would, someone might be interested in that, but I don't know. Just doesn't seem like something that matters to me.
Right, and that's what I'm saying. But to somebody else, to the actual like diehard fans, it might. So, it's just like NASCAR. Like there's something about the people being in the stands, and I think that's true of any sport. The spectators, the fans, things like that. And Intel still working on 7 nanometer, due to be released possibly in 2021. I don't understand. I don't know what goes into making silicon or silicon. Silicon? Is it silicon or silicon?
I've heard both. I don't know the answer.
I don't know what goes into building a processor. And I'm sure I almost guarantee you it's not an easy thing, I guess. Or I would guess. Not a trivial thing, otherwise everyone would be doing it. But there are plenty of other companies out. Well, I shouldn't say plenty of other companies, but AMD, I think, has figured it out, haven't they? I could be wrong on that. I'm not sure. I don't know what node they're on. Do you know what node AMD is on now?
7.
Yeah, okay. So why is
AMD doesn't make their own CPUs or chips.
Oh.
They are very friendly with TSMC for that.
Intel is not, I guess.
And now apparently there's some stuff floating around about how AMD are so friendly with TSMC that in fact not even Nvidia can get enough capacity from TSMC for their new line of GPUs, and will now be going with Samsung 8 nanometers. So I don't know. That's the thing.
Huh.
In any case, Intel makes all their own chips.
But okay, so it sounds like TSMC has figured out how to make a 7 nanometer node. So yes. What is Intel's excuse right now?
I don't know. I'm not a hardware engineer.
I am not either, but like, I don't know. It can be done. It's not that it can't be done. So I don't know what they're having issues with. And again, I'm sure that there are these complexities and yada, 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 but I don't know. Ooh. Anyway, all right. Well, now that we've, talked for like half an hour, let's actually roll the intro. So yes, let's get right into it. AMD Ryzen 4000 desktop processors. They're expected to arrive later this year, and will be a massive step on. That might actually supposed to be step up. Step up in terms of performance compared to current Ryzen 3000 CPUs. in the latest form, the rumored mill is to be believed, or if the latest latest from the rumor, if the latest from the rumor mill is to be believed. Ugh, I can't talk today. So this article says that they should note up front that the source of this speculation, a certain ice universe, is not one of the sources that they would normally expect to come forth with info on AMD. Let's see. This is the leathers. They insist that this leaker has a solid enough track record that mainly seems to revolve around smartphone rumors. Oh boy. This is one of those stupid. We're gonna just mute this site. I hate websites like that. Okay. So anyway, they treat this one very cautiously. Let's see. Advising the use of larger bowls. Blah, 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 blah. I want specs. Apparently, AMD is claiming around 15% to 17% better IPC with its next-gen CPUs. Have they exceeded the IPC of Intel chips now?
I'm willing to bet probably. I actually don't. But I mean, it's not, you can't, like IPC is, I think, too generic of a term to even use.
Well,
like certain CPUs are better at certain things than others.
That's true. It used to be, though, that Intel generally
it is a pretty broad term, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it used to be, though, that Intel chips generally had better IPC than AMD chips.
During like the era of FX, and such CPUs that were pretty lackluster compared to the competition. Yeah, you could definitely say that.
So engineers at two prominent device manufacturers are purportedly saying that with testing, simple Ryzen 4000 chips are looking even more promising than this, and that they are owning Intel on the power consumption front too. Well, that's the thing.
That'll just be down to being on a smaller process.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing, that AMD has been making more and more energy efficient chips as time goes on. I mean, look at the comparison between first gen Ryzen chips and what we have
They've
now.
Gotten smaller. That's part of that. Well, that's no small part of that at all. Is the fact that they have gotten smaller on the process size.
Yeah, so this could possibly hint at a near 20% uplift in IPC compared to Ryzen 3000. This is entering the territory of guesswork by now, though. And of course, they've heard whispers of perhaps 15% or even as much as 20% gains from the grapevine in the past. Then again, there's also been talk of a more modest increase pitched around 8 to 10%. I mean, this is pretty typical stuff, like, new generation, better power efficiency, better performance. I mean, there's nothing new here, really. Now, theoretically, as we get closer towards the launch, we should be hearing more accurate estimations. Estimations, thank you. Yep, regarding how much of the uplift Ryzen 4000 will deliver. But ultimately, these are just estimations. And as ever, we have to trust that the rumor isn't partial or even hopefully fabricated. Blah, 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 blah. So the question remains, though, is Intel in trouble now?
They've been in trouble for a long time.
Well, yes and no. I think in the consumer space, Intel's not in trouble at all. Look, OEMs are still going to be buying Intel. Well,
it's not because, I mean, they keep a lot of their business around by, like signing contracts that mandate you will use Intel CPUs.
Yeah, well,
bulk kind of deals like that,
well, I
with
mean,
OEMs.
Apple jumped off the Intel bandwagon.
That they did.
They're going for
An Apple are a special snowflake. We know that.
I honestly don't know how this transition is going to work.
Sure that, among people who choose their own components, people who build their own computers, that's a very small part of the PC
right.
line.
Yes. So you have to.
I mean, it is overwhelmingly AMD at this point.
Right, but when you look at it compared
to, it would be difficult. Like, what do they have that's looking like it could catch up? Nothing really. Nothing in the pipeline that looks, comparable to the competition at this point.
Here's an interesting question though. At some point, does AMD get so good and so quote unquote big that they turn into Intel?
Well, companies are all evil. We know this. Possible. But they behave like Intel. I mean, in a way, gosh, I forget a specific instance, but I remember there was some controversy they got stuck in that it was a lot. It was very, you could say if you just changed the wording to Intel did this instead of AMD did this, it would be like, oh yeah, I could believe that.
I think.
So, I mean, it doesn't matter who is at the top of the food chain. They're all going to be evil. It doesn't matter.
But that was one of the things that really drew people.
What I wanted to say is that I don't know. I was thinking about it before, but anyway, I don't know what will be. What kind of cool things will compel us to want Ryzen 4000 over the 3000? Like, I have a Ryzen 3000 CPU. What is going to make me want that new one? What do they got?
Well, if the rumors are true of a 20% increase in performance, I mean, that's. I think in the Intel or in the CPU world, that's pretty decent, isn't it? I think. I don't know.
It's pretty decent, but I already have a surplus of CPU performance.
And this is the other thing: does AMD at some point, at what point are they going to start competing with themselves? And of course, I mean, there's always going to be people who want the latest and greatest.
Competing with themselves.
Well, I mean, do they? You're right though. What is the justification?
All I'm saying is I don't want to see more, Intel crap like, okay, we've had quad cores for how many years, but more quad cores. Here you go, buy it. And I don't think we're heading that direction yet. But
you're right though. Is that's the thing? At what point does where is that? And again, you're always going to have people that want the latest and greatest, but at what point, does Intel or not Intel, AMD, what is that incentive to upgrade? I'm sitting on a Ryzen, what is this, a 3900X or 2900X? It's a 2900X.
It's a 2700X.
Or 2700X. Okay. Yeah.
You should know that.
Hey, the last time I checked what my CPU was a while ago. Yeah, it's a 2700X.
That's no excuse.
8-core processor here. I don't even use it to its full potential 90% of the time. Even right now, OBS is only using 5% of the CPU. Where are we sitting at fully?
OBS isn't going to be using nothing.
Well, no, and all the processing is being done on the GPU. My system is sitting anywhere from 10 to 15% utilization right now.
In any case, I would see it right now as like this is something for people who have older products.
Right, yeah, and like
this
I said,
isn't something for someone who just got the new one.
Oh, no, and I'm perfectly fine on my 2700X right now. It's a great little processor. I don't remember what we... and I probably could have done a little bit more research in terms of, like, processors. So I forget what I put in. Let's see here. What did we put in? I put a 3200G in the live stream system that is sitting down at my church right now for live streaming. And it's a quad-core processor, but it does fine. Does absolutely fine for what we need it to do. And that's one thing that I really am loving about AMD right now is that price to performance. I think that processor cost us maybe $90. You know, for somebody who's looking to build a brand new, you know, their first rig, you know, AMD is a really compelling option right now. And they're doing awesome things. But again, at what point does Intel AMD turn into Intel and says, all right, we've got enough of a lead now that, you know...
I don't think they can ever do that because Intel is way bigger than they are. If they aren't doing everything they can to keep the lead, they will lose it. Doesn't matter how bad Intel, you know, sucks at 10 nanometers or whatever.
I think here's the thing, though, is Intel's not in trouble.
Oh, no, they're not in trouble as a company, I don't think. No way. They're so big.
Now, in the prosumer space, they might be.
Yeah, but the prosumers mean nothing to them.
Right, and that's not where they're making their money.
I mean, the prosumers on the desktop they basically get the rejects from the data center silicon.
Yep.
The best silicon all goes to enterprise customers. All of it. That's where it's all going.
You know, it'll be interesting to see, though, what happens. You know, Threadripper is an amazing product as well. You know, are more data centers going to be looking at launching, you know, AMD in their data centers?
I'm sure a lot already have. I mean, I'm not privy to anything.
I'm not either. But if that's the thing, you know, those are large contracts there. If you know, that may put Intel, you know, in a little...
They've already lost a lot of business there because a lot of their... I mean, I seem to recall not long ago they were coming out with some utterly silly part that was like just two CPUs just strapped together. You know,
wow, that sounds really that sounds really familiar, Zach.
And yeah, that almost sounds like something they made fun of AMD for in the past. Your Ryzen CPU is just two CPUs bolted together. What a silly product. Who would buy that?
I was like, wait, have I heard this before? I thought I've heard this before.
Yeah, you have.
Oh man, I don't know. It's interesting, but again, Intel's not in trouble here, not yet. But no, I would be interested to see what is happening in that in the enterprise space. You know, because again, you know, these data centers are probably buying large quantities of chips at a given time. You know, if you know, contracts worth probably hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe. I don't know what a contract like that looks like, but you know, that might hurt Intel a little bit. I don't know.
I have no idea, to tell you the truth. I
Yeah.
wouldn't even be comfortable.
I don't know all the logistics of how that all works, but it's interesting.
I wouldn't even be comfortable pretending to know, but I do know that there is a lot of money in the data center space, and they would not be happy to lose any of it.
Exactly. And
certainly more money there than the consumer space.
Right. You are seeing, and that's the thing about the consumer space now. You're starting to see systems with Ryzen being baked into them, and a lot of them are pretty compelling options. Sometimes even cheaper than their Intel counterparts. So, I excuse me. While we're on the topic of CPUs real quick here, because back to school is coming up here. So anyone who is looking for a portable system, say a laptop, what would you? I don't know. What would you recommend? Would you recommend an AMD system, or are you still on Intel on the mobile platform? What do you think?
Still on? I have not been on either side in the mobile space for a long time. I have no idea what I would recommend.
See, I think there are compelling options on both sides. I think if you're gonna go AMD, you look for, depending on what you're wanting to do. I think, Ryzen 5, Ryzen 7, obviously those are going to be the top tier chips. Good options there. I think even Ryzen 3 is decent. I don't know. Do you still? I used to recommend, if you were on the Intel side of things, at a base, an Intel Core i3. But I don't know. Is the Core i3 even?
I think that's relevant for both sides of the equation. The lower end, you get what you pay for. I mean,
right, but where is
of the low end?
Where is that low end? What things do you stay away from? I've had Intel systems within the last 4 to 5 years with Pentiums and Celerons in them, and they're crap.
They're crap, yeah.
At least running on Windows 10.
Ask me what the low end branding for AMD is? I mean, I see Athlons floating.
Ugh, no. Stay away from Athlon.
I think there were actually some that were cited as not bad. But
most Athlon stuff is a piece of crap, though. Which is exactly why I always hated AMD, because any system that I had a crappy Athlon processor in it. Which is exactly why I was like, oh, AMD. Pfft. Now, if I see a system with with a Ryzen 5 or 7 in it, I'm like, oh, hey, this is actually a compelling option. I don't know though. I don't know. You would stay away from. I would stay away from Athlon. I would stay away from some Celerons, and I would stay away from Pentiums. They're just all crap. So,
I mean, context is important, but yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, those are the you pay for. They're not trying to be high end parts.
Well, I have a friend who's looking to go back to school, and she was like, "I found a laptop for $300."
Well, yeah, you get what you pay for.
Yeah, I told her, do not buy a $300 laptop, and I pulled out what would probably be somewhat of a comparable system, and she's like, yeah, okay, no. It's like, yeah, no. I think for any decent system these days, at least on the mobile platform, you're looking at probably at least $600. So. And
that feels a bit high, but
depends on what you're buying. I was looking at,
and it depends on the buyer as well. I mean, it depends on everything, really. That's
true. I just picked up a Dell Core i3 system. I don't know what generation. And it runs okay until I try to load up something like YouTube, and then it runs completely like garbage.
Interesting.
And that's usually the issue that I find with these. I think it's only got a single DIMM of memory in it, so I might try putting 2 DIMMs in and see if it runs in dual channel at that point. Maybe get a little bit of performance out of it. But that's what I've noticed on lower end CPUs Is that that's kind of my test now? Is will it play a YouTube video?
I mean, yeah, that seems fair. If you're buying something that can't even play a video, that's a problem.
Yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of my benchmark is, well, will it play? For goodness sakes, my crappy, I don't even know where it is. I think it's on the charger. My crappy Samsung Galaxy J3 phone. It's a $100 phone. Can play YouTube just fine.
I don't think that's a fair comparison because it's mobile. I mean,
the
mobile application is completely different.
The theory is that the processor in a computer should probably be better than what is sitting on my mobile device.
Of course, but it's not being asked to run the same software, therefore it's not a benchmark.
Yeah, but in theory, it's the same idea. It's playing a video. I'm thinking from a power. I'm thinking from a power consumption point.
I don't know.
Well, okay. One could argue that the app is.
One is designed to run on a phone. The other is designed to run on a computer. Well, they're both computers, but whatever. Technicalities.
I don't know. Online it's just a web, or on your PC it's just a web page. And it's decoding video. I don't know. Yeah, it might not be necessarily a fair comparison, but
well, I'm not a software developer, so I couldn't tell you what kind of differences there might be, but I'm willing to bet there are significant ones.
Oh, I'm sure there are. I don't know. I wonder about it. So anyway, moving on. ARM, the British silicon chip designer backed by SoftBank, has long been the subject of speculative interest. The other day, the interest has reached a fever pitch amid reports that Nvidia was exploring the possibility of acquiring a UK-based chip designer. I didn't know they were UK-based. But according to the reporting by Bloomberg, Nvidia has approached SoftBank, ARM's parent company, regarding a possible takeover deal. Nonetheless, as the talks are currently in a preliminary stage, other bidders might emerge as well. It's kind of interesting,
Sounds very anti-competitive. I wonder what good could come of this.
Here's the interesting thing. So Apple is looking to run on ARM. Does Apple buy them? Does Apple even look at it?
I don't know.
Or is it more work than it's worth? I don't know. As a refresher, ARM designs silicon chips and licenses instruction sets that govern how chips communicate. SoftBank purchased ARM Holdings in 2016 for $32 billion and hopes to earn a hefty return on its investment by either publicly listing the British chip maker or selling it to the highest bidder. Moreover, ARM currently holds a 49% stake in its Chinese JV ARM China, which is a consortium of investors led by the Chinese equity fund, Hopu Investment. I think that's how you pronounce that. Retaining the residual 51% stake. Interesting. Let's see. If ARM were to be purchased, it would constitute one of the chip industry's largest acquisitions. However, any potential deal will not be a walk in the park, along with the usual hurdles associated with a deal of such magnitude. Regulatory glare may prove to be a stumbling block. Finally, ARM's existing customers may try to block the acquisition or demand assurances regarding equal access to ARM's technology. That is fair.
Yeah, as well they should do. I mean, Nvidia aren't exactly a company known for being sunshine and rainbows.
Does Nvidia make their... No.
As in, do they fab their own chips? No.
Yeah, I was going to say.
They do not.
Yeah, how does that work? So they make reference cards, but they don't actually make the silicon.
They don't make the reference card either. They design the product.
Oh, really? I thought they made
and
the
then
reference
they
card.
make a deal with another company to produce it.
See, I always thought that. I understand now, but I thought Nvidia made all the cards, which is not true. So how does that work? They design it, and then I would imagine that somebody like MSI or something like that, like, pays them a certain amount of money or something for the rights to reproduce the card or something.
I don't know all about the process, but the actual GPU, the chip, is going to be made at a fab, obviously, whoever that is.
So who makes
as far as the board and the other components, I don't know. I don't know what goes on there.
So
obviously
Nvidia...
they designed that too, and the reference card is exactly that. It is something that can either be perhaps produced under license, or have a custom cooler attached to it by a board partner, or it might just be something that a board partner disregards completely and makes their own board. Who knows?
So here's the... Okay, so Nvidia doesn't actually make the reference card. Who makes the reference card then? I thought it came from Nvidia.
Card? Well, the GPU is made by whoever is paid to do it, whichever fab is paid to do it. If Nvidia had the capability to produce the reference GPU, they would produce all of the GPUs.
This is an interesting business model. We're just going to design something, and then we'll let a bunch of other companies actually make it and manage the SKUs and all that stuff. Which is smart if you think about it, because then there's no overhead for them.
Yeah, well, they also have lots of marketing and distribution and all that, so, and obviously the fabs don't design anything. Fabs just build this stupid thing.
What are we approaching now? And in the Nvidia world, like the RTX like 20s now.
Series.
Oh, is it the 3000s now?
3000 will be next. Yes, it's rumored to be in September.
When
it is said that the chips are currently in production.
Did you I forget. Did you upgrade your graphics?
No. So
you're still on the 980 Ti.
Will I? Maybe. Who knows?
And again, we've talked about this before. I
mean, here's the thing though. Right now, I read stuff when I'm at work, whatever. And there's a lot of talk that apparently Nvidia is quite worried about the competition this generation, which could be interesting. It could mean that
between Team Red
will produce a good product, and that means better prices and better products. Because Nvidia doesn't exactly have the motivation to make the biggest, baddest card they possibly can if Team Red isn't producing anything close to it. But if Team Red is, then, well, obviously, they have to try a little bit harder, don't they?
This is true. And I really would love to see Team Red step up in the GPU side of things and do what they have...
Only an idiot wouldn't want that.
And do what they have done in the CPU space against Team Blue.
Now, AMD they design, just like Nvidia. They don't fab anything.
Because
AMD designs the GPUs and CPUs so I guess they design the SoC for the PS5 and Xbox. I don't know, whatever is next.
That's right.
No,
yep.
And so, because of the performance claims made by them, there is a bit of insight into what exactly the so-called Big Navi will look like.
Yeah. So no, and I forget. So does AMD own Radeon, or are they separate companies now?
Radeon was initially a brand of ATI, and I believe AMD purchased them.
I remember that. Because if we pull out older
Yes, they say ATI on them.
yeah, yeah, if you pull out older
AMD does
Radeon systems,
own the Radeon brand.
It'll be interesting to see.
In any case, yes. Only good things can happen if.
So you're going to be
Radeon
watching the
does
GPU
goodness.
market then?
I will be watching, and I will see. You know.
Well, you were watching, and the last time you were considering Radeon, it was
watching,
a letdown.
And it was a letdown. That's why you watch and you wait and you never ever pre-order anything.
Vega did not turn out the way you thought it was going to.
So silly.
You were so excited about it, and then it came out, and you were like,
really
"Oh."
Overstate my excitement, but whatever. You always overstate my excitement on that matter.
Okay, you were highly considering it.
It was a thing that was interesting.
You were highly considering it, and then it came out, and you were like, "Oh yeah, Vega just kind of sucks." So, anyway, so it does make sense for Nvidia to purchase the takeover of ARM. After all, SoftBank has been a major investor in Nvidia, having assumed a $4 billion stake in 2017. Nonetheless, SoftBank's gargantuan $100 billion vision fund disclosed in early 2019 that the entity of its Nvidia stake had been liquidated. Nvidia will benefit from synergies emerging out of its acquisition of ARM should the deal achieve closure. The development would also mark a continuation of the recent acquisition spree by the maker of GPU cards. Now, as a refresher, Nvidia officially completed its acquisition of Israel's Mellanox Technologies on the 27th of April, capping an arduous process that spanned over 13 months. Moreover, on the 4th of May, Nvidia declared that it was buying the open network software company Cumulus Networks for an undisclosed amount. Nvidia shares have risen by 76% in 2020, allowing the company to briefly eclipse Intel's market cap for a few weeks. Interesting. That is the other thing, and that news hasn't been quite as exciting as I thought it was going to be. But remember, we were like, oh, Intel's going to be working on a GPU. Come to find out that it's like for like the enterprise market or something like that.
First iterations of it would be.
Yeah. But I want to see it in the consumer space. You know, if you've got Nvidia,
I want to
Intel,
see it at all. If it comes for the enterprise space, it can be adapted for the consumer space. If it doesn't come at all, it can't be for anybody.
But that would make some things interesting in the GPU market as well.
3 players in the GPU space would be.
What's funny though?
It's like if Nvidia made a CPU, only benefit could happen from that. If Nvidia made a CPU, everyone could benefit from that because more competition.
Picture this, Zach.
More choices.
Picture this, okay? Team Red.
I admit it would be weird to say I'm buying an Nvidia CPU, but hey.
Oh, no.
Reading about an Nvidia CPU or considering buying an Nvidia CPU, but hey, it could be a thing.
No, I was thinking this one would be even and possibly more prevalent, or realistic, I guess, is Team Red in your CPU, Team Blue for your graphics.
Well, you can already go the other way around. So yeah, I guess.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I would think at that point that Intel would want you to be, and I could totally see Intel doing something like this, is building, I don't even know what they call it, but something like Optane into like, the processor and GPU or something like that. Like that kind of,
so cache? CPUs already have that.
I'm not, I guess. What am I looking for? Like kind of proprietary.
Between RAM, cache, Optane. Those things are all just pieces of storage that are used by software with varying degrees of speed and capacity.
Right. What I guess I'm saying is like some kind of proprietary thing that and AMD might already do this, but some kind of proprietary thing built into there between the CPU and the graphics card that like boosts one or the other or something along those lines, but like proprietary to only those two things.
I mean, I don't know.
That like gives one or the other like more performance or something. Like, I don't know how they would work that out.
The graphics card already has its own dedicated memory.
The
CPU uses its system memory.
I wasn't saying like I guess when I'm saying like Optane, I'm not necessarily saying like memory. I'm just saying that proprietary thing where like Optane only works with like an Intel CPU to give you, more performance. So that's what I'm saying is like some kind of like performance increase that can only be achieved using, an Intel CPU and GPU together. I don't know what that looks like.
I mean, I don't know. That doesn't sound terribly realistic, I guess, but I'm not a hardware engineer again, so who knows.
And again, like I said, like I don't know exactly what that looks like. Like, you add the GPU in there and like it boosts.
That's just one of those things that like I would expect that if such a thing were viable to develop and try to sell, surely Intel would have done this already, no?
Well, I mean, Optane is a fairly new thing.
Optane, proprietary piece of hardware designed to improve performance. I mean, I guess.
And that's what I'm saying is, does Intel figure something like that out? Maybe not right away. Where, you can still...
Really, the biggest question for me is, something for both the CPU and GPU to use. I mean, that just, I don't know. It doesn't really sit well with me in terms of being realistic at all.
I don't know. Just a thought. Anyway, moving on to Microsoft news for this week. I don't really have anything great, but if you've ever wanted to build a real and working Windows 95 PC inside of Minecraft, it's now possible. There's a new VM computer mod that has been created for Minecraft that allows players to order computer parts from a satellite orbiting around a Minecraft world and build a computer that actually boots Windows 95 and a variety of other operating systems.
Mildly interesting.
The mod uses VirtualBox, which is free and open source, to run operating systems like Windows 95. Within Minecraft, you simply place a PC case block and then use it to create a virtual hard drive to install operating systems from ISO files. Now, naturally, the Minecraft community has been experimenting with the VM computer mod, and someone has managed to get Doom running within Minecraft as a result.
Well, if it's a full VM, then yeah, I mean, I guess, sure. That seems reasonable to me.
There's bound to be a lot more experimentation on the way.
This is like one of those things that's just like, I had, I didn't know who asked for this, but that's pretty cool.
There's bound to be a lot more experimentation on the way, especially once people build multiple PCs that boot different operating systems in Minecraft worlds. You can even play Minecraft on a PC within Minecraft. Because, of course, you can.
All right, sure.
Getting Windows 95 and Doom running is the ultimate test for any mod or hack. The Verge has seen Windows 95 running on an Xbox One and Apple Watch. Really? Even as an app, you can download and install on Mac OS, Windows, and Linux. Can Minecraft run Crysis, though?
Probably not.
Crysis is a pretty new game, isn't it?
2008?
Oh, I thought it was newer.
I think that 2008's what's in my head. I forget.
I
mean, they've had multiple entries, and there's currently talk of a remastered Crisis 1. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, if you don't know, like, it was notorious for being very, very, very hard to run.
That's what I thought. I thought like Crisis was like
it was kind of designed with hardware upgrades in mind. Like, that when they developed the game, they were not thinking in terms of what can our hardware today run, but what will future hardware be able to do. So
now
when
if
it
you
came
were to
out, even the biggest graphics cards on earth really struggled at the highest settings.
how does that compare to today's hardware that we have now?
Today's hardware, I mean, I'm sure you can breeze through it.
That's what I was wondering. I was like,
Of course, they can't go that far ahead.
Right, but that's what I'm thinking. I was like, if you run Crisis, on a system today, is it gonna just be like, oh hey, like?
Although if I remember correctly, it's more taxing than you might think for something that was created in 2008.
Ahead of its time, shall we say? Here we go. How Fox Sports will use virtual fans created in Unreal Engine to fill empty stadiums in MLB broadcasts.
Lovely. Well, all right. Sure.
So baseball is back, but the MLB is going to look a little different with the COVID-19 world right now, with empty stadiums full of silent cardboard cutouts instead of thousands of screaming fans in an effort to avoid spreading the virus. That is, unless you're watching on Fox Sports. Starting this weekend, the network will only be piping in fake fan audio, but it will also be filling the stands with digitally rendered fans from its MLB broadcast, starting with this Sunday's Yankees National game. All 30 MLB teams will be relying on fake fan noise in the actual stadiums, along with the unusual in-stadium, or as well as the usual in-stadium announcers, walk-up music, and other aspects of pomp and circumstance that accompany a Major League Baseball match. But Fox Sports is the only broadcaster that's announced plans for virtual fans.
See, honestly, if I was a baseball player and they were like, okay, so you're gonna play, and oh yeah, there's gonna be like fake cheering, noises, I would be kind of weirded out by that, to be honest. Like,
here's the thing though. I think differently on that. I think as a player, I think you're used to hearing those things.
Of course you are, but knowing and being told like, oh yeah, they're just fake, of course.
But how much are you paying attention? How much in a game are you actually paying attention to who's in the stands? You're probably not.
Not much, but at the same time, like, it's quite clear that no one is there.
This is true. So I guess that's where I'm at.
It's a little bit jarring to be like, okay, well, I'm hearing so much noise, but I can clearly see, peripheral vision and all that. There is no one. It's weird.
I guess you're right. I guess
I'm not a baseball player. I don't know what they're thinking, but I would just be a little bit. I guess I don't know. Yeah, I would just be a little weirded out by that.
So here's what Fox is saying. They believe that the crowd and seeing people in seats is part of a broadcast, in part of broadcasting high-level sports in the major leagues. So we want to come up with a solution for that, explains Brad Zager, executive producer and head of production and operations at Fox Sports. We're not looking to fool anybody. It's still about the game, but shot to shot, when you're watching a broadcast, it's not more noticeable than you're watching what is it's not more noticeable than you're watching what is normally a broadcast with fans in just an empty stadium and having it feel weird. We want to give people a sense of normalcy. Okay.
I mean, it could be something for the archives as well, like, watching an old game in the future. Like, oh yeah, that game must have been from 2020 because there's no one. Well, now we'll just look like any other.
They say, and we felt like going down this path and trying to use a virtual crowd will hopefully make it so that so that it blends in and you can focus on the game more because you're not thinking about the emptiness of a Major League Baseball stadium during the game. The effect is a combination of technologies and may you may have seen before. The augmented reality software used to insert the crowds is called Pixotope, which has worked on AR graphics for things like the Super Bowl and the Weather Channel's terrifying storm warning demonstrations. Interesting. You know, there is a lot of cool technology that goes into weather graphic software. Probably the most widely used. I don't even know. I think there's maybe 3 pieces of software that are widely used, but I think most stations are using TrueView Max, which I think is owned by the Weather Channel, I think. But they have built a lot of cool things into it, like augmented reality, and it's pretty insane. They need some pretty powerful systems to run that stuff. So, but yeah. So it works by leveraging graphics created by creative agency Silver Spoon Animation, built in Epic's Unreal Engine. Unreal Engine is used here for the same reason it's popular for creating video games or for crafting virtual on-set backgrounds for shows like The Mandalorian. Unlike most film graphics, which have to be rendered in post-production after the fact, Unreal can render in real time, making it far more suited for live television. Yeah, makes sense. Lastly, Sports Media Technology, the same company that handles most of the sports-centric computer overlays that you're familiar with, like the yellow first down line in football, on-screen clock and scoreboard, and more, handles the camera tracking to insert those graphics on the live camera feed. 4 cameras, high home, center field, high first, and high third cameras will show the virtual fans. So it's basically augmented reality in real time. Fox Sports producers will be able to control things like how full the virtual crowds are for a given game, what weather fans are dressed for, and what percentage of the crowd will be home fans versus away, although the company is still figuring out how to make some of those decisions. We're figuring this out right now, and we'll continue to evolve the process as we go through the weekend and from game to game, week to week, says Zager. The Fox Sports broadcast will also integrate the fan audio being played in the stadium into the background of microphone clips from the players, like during pitches and other in-game audio. But it'll augment the live audio on its own end too, similar to how it's been doing, or it's been doing for MLS games. I don't know what the MLS is. And while the interactions between the virtual crowd and the audio will be basic for now, like basic cheers, boos, and the wave. Oh yeah, that's right. It can do the wave. The company is hoping to better integrate the two as it gets more practice over the season. It's something that we hope becomes even more collaborative and more on the same page as we do this more and more, being able to combine the audio with the crowd together. For now, the virtual fans will only be broadcasted on MLB games on Fox, but it's possible that the digitally generated fans could appear elsewhere as well. Zager says the company is working with all of its sports sponsors, and that as we get closer to the fall for football and other sports, if we feel like it's going in the right direction, we will launch it and roll it out on other sports as well. I don't know. It's cool, but I don't know. I don't
even watch baseball, so I don't care.
I don't know how I feel about that from just the standpoint of it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, I don't know. It's cool. But yeah, I don't know. Weird. Intel finally got its 10 nanometer chips on the market after years of delays. Oh, really? They're on 10 nanometer now.
No, I believe that this is somewhat misleading.
Oh.
Far from their whole lineup is 10 nanometer. And if I remember correctly, I
can believe that.
some suggestions that the ones that are absolutely nothing to write home about. But whatever, I don't know.
Now the company has announced it's encountered issue with its upcoming 7nm process that will result in delays for the next generation of chips as well. Well, it only took them how many years to get to 10nm-ish? And it's like, according to what you're saying, not even like fully there yet?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. At this point, it's just par for the course for Intel to screw up their new process.
Let's see. As Intel's Q2 2020 earnings release notes, the company's 7nm base CPU's product timing is shifting approximately 6 months relative to prior expectations, pushing them back from an originally planned arrival at the end of 2021. The 6-month delay would push the date into at least 2022, if not further, due to what Intel CPO Bob Swan refers to as a defect mode in the 7nm process. If Intel can't figure this stuff out, yeah, maybe they are in a little bit of trouble. Who knows? Intel actually
afloat, but yeah, they really won't be competitive for. I mean, it's really looking like they won't be competitive for a while. What happens when they do become competitive? Who knows? I mean, we like to laugh at them now, but obviously them being competitive is important to keep AMD honest. So
this is true. Very, very true. Exactly. Do we see Intel make a big comeback like AMD has at some point?
Probably.
I don't know. Will we all be switching back to Intel CPUs at some point? Maybe. Intel actually says that the issue with its current 7nm production means that production is trending a year behind its internal roadmap. For some reason, though, the company says that being a year behind schedule will only result in that aforementioned 6-month delay to market. For comparison, AMD has already been outputting its own Ryzen 400 chips based on its 7nm architecture for months, which have been handily outperforming Intel's offerings. No surprise there.
As much as known, yes.
It's not all bad news for Intel, though. The company is on track to release its 11th gen Tiger Lake chips based on the company's 3rd generation 10nm++ process to succeed the 10th gen Ice Lake lineup for laptops later this year, bringing with them Intel's much hyped XE graphics. Okay. Have we talked about those yet? I don't even know what they are.
So I don't even know what that is. I've heard the term thrown around so many times, and I'm just like, eh.
Intel is also expecting to launch its first products from its 12th gen Alder Lake, the successor to Tiger Lake's lineup toward the end of this year, including the company's long-awaited first 10nm desktop CPUs. See, there you go. Okay, so they don't even have any desktop-based 10nm CPUs yet.
No, they don't. As much as known.
Intel's actual financial results for Q2 were also positive. Intel's client computing group, which makes the processors for the laptops and desktops, saw a 7% improvement year over year with $9.50 or $9.50 billion in revenue. Intel notes that these strong results were driven by the increase in laptop sales due to the surge in customers working and learning from home caused by COVID-19. That makes sense right there.
Intel is not, they are still a player in the laptop space.
Think about it, though. Even though we are seeing Ryzen-based laptops hitting the market, primarily, most of what is out there in the market is Intel, which makes sense. Because I was reading that and I was like, really? They are? But then I read that and I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense. Let's see. Although, by that same token, it says desktop demand declined. And that also makes sense, probably. For probably a couple reasons, though. I mean, think about it. If you're buying a system to work from home, eventually, at some point, you're probably going to be going back to the office. So having a
Well, a
portable...
lot of places are just giving their employees a computer.
Well, that too. So having a portable system makes a lot of sense because it can move back and forth. So, and I don't know. I feel like probably more people, I could be wrong. But think about it. When you walk into an electronics store, I think you generally see more mobile systems than you do desktops. I think the market has shifted. I think a lot of people tend to buy laptops.
Well, a laptop can do everything that a lot of people want to do. A lot of people just want to go on Facebook and, look at videos.
It's smaller, it's all in one, it's portable.
A laptop can do all of those things very easily. So,
yeah,
it makes complete sense.
Although, for me and you, we enjoy having our desktops.
Of course.
But, we have a different use case than the average person. Well, I do. You're just gaming. I actually have a system built for content management. Or content management. Content creation. Let's see. Intel's Q2 revenue was also up 20% year over year, with 19.7 billion brought in, helped in large part by substantial growth in Intel's data center and memory solutions division. Okay. The delay to reaching 7nm chips is a looming problem for the company, though. Really? It's a looming problem?
Yeah, it's very much a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I was unaware of that. Anyway, if Intel's history of extending its 14nm architecture for generations of incremental refinement is anything to go by, expect to see plenty more 10nm products released in the coming years. There's only so much padding even Intel can do with its lineup. A delay of 10nm chips, helped up a huge chunk of its laptop industry, which relies on Intel's roadmap increased in power efficiency and performance to develop new and better products. That is true. The more efficient you can make the processor, the more efficient you can make the laptop, which results in...
wow, it's almost like, yeah, you're right.
Which results in usually better battery life, which if you've got a mobile system is actually something something pretty considerable. You want something with a decent battery life in it. Now look, there is a trade-off. Something like the G7 has a decent battery in it. But it's
quite hefty, though.
This compared to...
going to want something so big.
Right. This compared to, like, the LG Gram or something like that, right? The LG Gram is going to far outperform this in battery life. But, if Intel or, chip manufacturers in general can build more energy efficient chips for these things with the same performance, your battery life's going to increase, which is always a good thing. But yeah, anyway, so we'll see what happens. I don't know. It's interesting to watch. I hope that Intel, again, like you said, we love to make fun of Intel for, what the heck? Why can't they figure out their 7nm process? Right? But the problem is that we also need Intel to keep AMD in check. So, there's that. So, last quick little tidbit. Apple Macs might be getting Face ID. So, that's a new thing. I'm surprised Apple hasn't done that yet. Like Microsoft, you know,
That actually is a good point. I mean, iPhones have had it for many years, and
here's the interesting thing. So Microsoft, who is usually late to the party, Windows Hello recognition.
oh yeah, they're always late to everything, aren't they?
Right, but Windows Hello recognition, which
Yep.
would be something that has been released before like Apple here. So, you know, so maybe not always late to the party, but usually late to the party. So, anyway, but yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. Oh, I know what I need to ask you. Did you guys get rid of the robot?
No, he's still there. Maybe they fixed him. I forget. I just ignore him because he's an idiot.
Oh man, that's hilarious. So, but yeah, that's all I got for this week. So, anyway, yeah, thumbs up if you liked the show, thumbs down if you didn't, comment down below, all that fun stuff. Get subscribed to our channel. Yeah. I think we'll be back next week. Bye.